She never should have opened the door that night. Emily lived alone in an old, creaking apartment building. The relentless pressure of her job had worn her down for months, leaving her exhausted and unable to sleep. One overcast afternoon, on a whim, she wandered into a dusty pet shop and spotted it, a sleek black cat with eyes the color of pale jade, curled quietly in its cage, watching her intently. The clerk shrugged. No one knows where it came from. Someone left it here anonymously. It doesn't eat, doesn't drink, yet it's still alive. Call it Shadow, if you like. Emily smiled and took it home. From that day forward, her life felt a little gentler. Shadow was impeccably behaved, never meowing, never scratching the furniture. It simply sat beside her bed each night, those pale jade eyes fixed on her as she drifted into sleep. The first week was peaceful. The second week, the nightmares began. In her dreams, Shadow would perch on the windowsill, its body elongating unnaturally, melting into a ribbon of darkness that slithered up the wall and vanished into a crack in the ceiling. When she awoke, gasping, something always seemed out of place: a key, a book, a sweater moved or missing entirely. She blamed it on stress. The third week, the odd occurrences escalated. One night, a faint scratching roused her from sleep. She switched on the light and froze. Shadow was raking its claws across the wall, carving slow, deliberate lines. Up close, the scratches formed words. "She is not yours." Heart pounding, Emily lunged to erase them, but the wall was blank, smooth as ever. She turned. Shadow sat calmly at her feet, gazing up with serene, unblinking eyes. That night, terrified, she locked the cat in the bathroom, vowing to return it the next day. In the dead of night, the scratching resumed, not from the bathroom, but from her bedroom door. Slow, insistent scrapes, like nails pleading to be let in. With trembling hands, she opened the door. The hallway was empty. The bathroom door stood wide open. Shadow was already curled on her bed, as if it had never been moved. Sleep became impossible. Desperate, she searched online for the pet shop, only to learn it had closed 3 years earlier. The address was now a vacant lot. By the fourth week, doubt eroded her sanity. In the mirror, she occasionally caught Shadow standing behind her reflection. When she whirled around, nothing was there. Strands of black cat hair appeared in the apartment's corners, though Shadow never shed. One evening, she returned home to find a plate of fresh raw fish on the table, beside a note in jagged, claw-like script: "I'm hungry." She fled screaming into the hallway and called her friend Sarah in hysterics. Sarah calmed her. "You're burned out. You're imagining things. I'll take you to a doctor tomorrow." That night, Emily stayed at Sarah's place. The next morning, the building manager called. Her apartment alarm had triggered. The door had been forced open. Everything inside was ravaged. When they arrived, police were already on the scene. Every surface, walls, floor, ceiling was scarred with deep gouges, repeating the same desperate message over and over: "She is not yours. She was mine." The officer asked gently, "Do you own a cat, miss?" Emily shook her head, her voice breaking. I thought about it once, but I never kept it." They showed her the security footage. Late that night, a dark form slipped through the window, moving like a cat, silent and fluid. Then it rose, stretching into the silhouette of a woman. She walked to the bedroom, sat on the bed's edge, and tenderly stroked the empty pillow as if someone still lay there. Finally, she turned toward the camera. Pale jade eyes gleamed in the darkness. She smiled. Then the feed went black. After the police left, Emily sat alone amid the wreckage, knees pulled to her chest. A soft warmth settled into her lap. Shadow. It pressed its head against her hand, purring low and steady, the first sound it had ever made. In that instant, everything fell into place. The scratches, the notes, the midnight watches. It wasn't possession. It wasn't a curse. It was love. A fierce, desperate, eternal love. The woman in the footage, perhaps she had once lived in the same apartment, just as lonely as Emily. Perhaps she had held this black cat on sleepless nights, confiding secrets into its fur. Perhaps one night, despair overwhelmed her, and she left forever. But Shadow refused to let go. It didn't eat or drink because it no longer needed to. It shifted objects, scattered hair, scrawled messages, even reshaped itself, all to frighten Emily enough to stay, to need it, to never abandon it like its first owner had. It wove a cage of fear, hoping love would take root within. Emily gazed down into those pale jade eyes. For the first time, she saw the longing beneath their calm. She reached out and cradled the cat in her arms. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I won't leave you again." Shadow nuzzled its face against her chest, purring louder than ever. She never moved out. She never had another nightmare. Some nights, she wakes to find Shadow on the windowsill, staring into the darkness as if waiting for someone who will never return. Emily crosses the room, gently lifts the cat, and sits beside it. "Don't wait anymore," she murmurs. "I'm here now." Shadow turns, rubs its forehead against her chin, and in those pale jade eyes, a flicker of true warmth finally shines. It had used every shadow of terror to keep love from slipping away again. This time, love answered back.